Hello everybody and welcome back to the Movie Buffer. Well, tonight we're going to be doing something a little bit different. I am going to be reviewing Spare, the memoir by Prince Harry, and these are the 10 things I learned from Spare. Now, I know you may say, hello, this is called Movie Buffer. Why are you doing a review on a book? Well, in my book to movie series, I review a book and I review the movies. There have been so many movies or Lifetime movies and Netflix series and interviews and all kinds of stuff written and watched about Harry and Meghan and all of that. So I figure this is kind of reverse. This is really a movie to book situation. So here we go. Spare is a memoir by Prince Harry, Duke of Sussex, which was released on January 10th, 2023. It was ghostwritten by J.R. Moehringer. It is 416 pages long and has been translated into 15 languages. There is also a 15-hour audiobook edition, which Harry narrates himself. This is how I read it. But I do recommend you listening to it this way if you are going to read it, because you get to hear his inflections and hear his true feelings in the words. The book was highly anticipated and was accompanied by several major broadcast interviews. Harry details his childhood and the profound effect of his mother Diana, Princess of Wales' death, as well as his troubled teenage years and subsequent deployment to Afghanistan with the British Army. Harry writes about his relationship with his brother, Prince William, and his father, King Charles III, and also his father's marriage to Camilla Parker Bowles. Harry writes of his courtship and marriage to the American actress Meghan Markle and the couple's subsequent stepping back from their royal roles. And I have to say that this book is written in 3 parts. First part is his childhood. The second part is primarily his military experience and career. And the third part gets to him and Meghan. And laced throughout it is his many relationships with women, but primarily one relationship in particular was a woman named Chelsea, and they had quite a long on and off relationship. Spare received general mixed reviews from critics who praised Harry's openness, which it is very open, but were critical of the inclusion of too many personal details. Well, that is odd because it is a memoir, and the definition of a memoir is your personal life story, so I'm not understanding that part. But anyway, let's get to my 10 things I learned from Spare. Number 1, he was always running away. From day one, he hated not being the heir, simply of being born after his brother. Instead of most of us feeling that they are not as good as another sibling, he literally was not. His brother William is being groomed to be king, and he was being groomed to be prince. The Spare simply means that should William die, he is next in line to the throne. Yet when William had children, Harry was no longer the Spare because William's eldest son became next in line. The term Spare is also a kind of a nickname for that role, but Harry took it as a serious slight of his very existence. He started wanting to run away from something he could not, which is himself. Number 2, his mother's death had a profound effect. Well, of course, your mother dying at a young age affects many people deeply, or at any age. Yet Harry didn't even accept that she was actually dead until he was about 18. He had a bit of magical thinking, a developmental term given to children from the ages of 5 to 8 years old, but his mother died when he was around 12. Harry made a fantasy that he actually believed that Diana was not dead, but in hiding from the paparazzi. He even tried to prove this by looking at the raw photos of the accident and having his driver drive through the tunnel where the accident happened. He finally was able to face the reality that she was in fact dead. But as I said, he was at least 18 by the time that actually happened. He always thought that his mother would come out of hiding would get in contact with them somehow. But the people around him, specifically William, his brother, countered that, saying she would never do that to us. I'm sorry, but she is actually dead. And he just could not believe it. And this is understandable. Through grieving and trying to work through your grief, it affects people in so many different ways and how they deal with it. But for him, he literally could not believe that she was dead. So this affected him very deeply. Number 3, consequently, he hates the paparazzi to a level of insanity. Sounds harsh, but not at all. Each time he speaks about them, you can hear it in his voice in the book how much he loathes them. He literally blames them not only for his mother's death, but for most of his emotional wounds. This seems to be a natural response because, quite frankly, they played a really big part in his mother's accident. However, he took it to a new height of irrationality. We often need a person, group, or thing to blame for our failings and our pains. I just wouldn't want to meet Harry in a dark alley while I was carrying a camera. I mean, I don't think I would make it out alive. The way he speaks about them, and it's peppered throughout the entire memoir, of how each thing that happens to him in his life, it always goes back to the paparazzi. And it is something that has affected him in such a way that is very dark. I really feel he needs clinical counseling to understand all the things that he's had and he's gone through. Number 4, the military allowed him to be free. Joining the British Army was the best thing that could have happened to him. This is where he was able to do something on his own and become a man. It also brought about a darkness within him where he was proud of his killings. 28, he wrote in his memoir, to be exact. He desperately wanted to stay in the military and continue fighting, but he was released from duty after serving for 10 years. He served 2 tours in Afghanistan and rose to the rank of captain. Harry also founded the Invictus Games, an international sporting event for wounded, injured, and sick service personnel and veterans. I'm sure his discharge honorably was a huge relief for his bodyguards. Yes, his bodyguards were with him as he served. I didn't even realize that this was a thing. I found that profoundly odd. He had bodyguards all of his life following him, protecting him. I suppose that this is one of the main reasons that having them taken from him when he left the monarchy was so jarring for him. He is finally and utterly on his own. In the book, he spends a tremendous amount of time talking in detail about his service in the military, the wars that he was in, the conflicts, how he felt, describing each tour and the machinery and the planes. I mean, he really goes into a lot of detail about the military and what he experienced there. So it was very, very important to him. Number 5, he's very honest about racist missteps. Harry describes the situation with wearing a Nazi uniform. He doesn't describe it as William and Kate making him wear it. They were on the phone with him when he made the choice, but in actuality, he made that choice to wear the Nazi uniform. He said there were only 2 outfits left in the rental store, and he chose that one. The party that they were going to was a themed party, and it was called Colonial/Native Party, which is racist no matter what a person wore. He also admitted calling his Pakistani friend Paki, which is a racial slur. Harry says that this is all because he was not educated on any race of any kind, and he simply didn't know that these things were wrong until people reacted to it. I can honestly see that this to be true, because why would the royals or colonials be concerned about how a non-European felt about racism? I'm sure they didn't talk about it or think about it, and it wasn't important enough to learn about. He admitted that even the racist backlash that Meghan received was shocking to him. Well, it was shocking to her as well. Meghan basically was passing as white most of her life. Her own mother admitted in the Netflix special that she did not prepare her daughter when she was growing up sufficiently about racism, mainly because Meghan was so fair-skinned and looked mostly white. So Meghan's emotional reaction to all of the racist torments must have been extremely devastating for her. Racism in America does make black people feel less than and bring suicidal ideations, but we deal with it all of our lives from birth. We can't get away from it. But Megan, whether consciously or unconsciously, hid from that most of her life. So when she went to England to be with him and married him, and then the attacks that came at her racially, that was new to her. She did not realize how racist people can be. And I really do feel that if he had married a woman who was dealing with that, whether she was biracial or not, and was more in tune with her black American side and the culture and everything, it wouldn't have affected her in the same exact way. And that's just my opinion. You can speak about that in the comments if you like, but that's just my opinion being a black woman. Number 6. Penis TMI. Oh my God. He's circumcised. Harry is circumcised. You know how I know that? Because he talked about it in this book extensively. He talks about his penis quite a bit, which I felt was weird and odd. He talked about his ailing penis, which was TMI. It was during William and Kate's wedding. He blamed it. He had just came from a tour journey in the North Pole. Not with the military, he just went with some friends. He blamed his ailing penis on being frostbit after a journey at the North Pole, and he kind of left it there. He didn't say if it was actually a STD, which it kind of sounded like to me from his description, but it could have been just frostbit. Anyway, I could have done without those references. That was, yes, a little too personal, and it really didn't make any sense because for him to put it in the book, because it didn't go anywhere. He just said it several times, and he didn't say what the conclusion was. I'm assuming that his penis healed, but why he needed to put this in the book, I don't know. Because it didn't, I don't know. Anyway, it's in there. It was too much, and I just thought that was weird, odd, and I was like, am I reading a 12-year-old or a teenage boy talking about the oddness of his nether regions? And he even said nether regions before. It was just so odd. I was like, why is this even in here? Oh my God. Number 7. His substance abuse problem. Harry admitted to using cocaine, barbiturates, LSD, and had a severe problem with drinking. Now, I'm saying this in the past tense. I don't know if he's better now. I'm not sure. He didn't really speak to that. And he didn't really speak to it as actually being a problem, just that he partied a lot. But he partied a lot, drank a lot, and he used cocaine. He even stated that at a time when someone had taken a picture of him snorting cocaine, he said, no, that didn't happen. But of course, it did happen. He admitted that he just lied because he didn't want to talk about it. He didn't want to deal with it. But it's something that he did, and he did throughout. He even told a story. Well, when Megan was in labor with Archie, their first child, she was having a hard labor, and the hospital gave her a tank of nitrous oxide, or laughing gas, by her bedside to help her with the pain. Harry was there, of course, and he said that he used the whole tank. The RN came back into the room and was surprised that it had to be refilled for Megan. It makes it very light. He said that, everybody was laughing. He made it sound as if it was no big deal. But from early on, we see that he has been self-medicating with drugs and alcohol to ease his emotional pain for years and decades, okay? Harry did go to therapy, but it was very brief. He didn't really like it, so he stopped. Number 8. Megan is not Yoko Ono. Now, I say Yoko Ono because I saw a picture that someone had posted on social media basically claiming that Megan is Yoko Ono. And if you don't know who Yoko Ono is, she is the widower of John Lennon, and she has always been blamed of the breakup of the Beatles. And I think that was pretty true. But they are comparing Megan to Yoko Ono, and I'm sorry, especially after reading this book, and I did kind of feel that way. But after I read this memoir, Harry has been running away for years. Everyone wants to blame Meghan for Harry's leaving the monarchy, but this was all Harry. He has been leaving the monarchy for years, starting with the death of his mother, if not before. I think it actually kind of started before when he was younger, and people would call him the Spare. So this nickname and the reality, he took it to heart. He never, ever, and probably even to this day has gotten over this. He still feels like the unloved outsider, but everything he is going through, he has created. His absolute war with the press made it worse for him. He should have taken the advice of his family and ignored the paps, but he did not. He could not. He declared war on the press, and they retaliated by waging a war right back at him. Yet I suppose he needed someone tangible to blame, not only for his mother's death, but for all of the ailments in his own life. It is a common, very unhealthy reaction that we have. We need to blame somebody for why we are in so much emotional pain. And so he chose the paparazzi. Now, of course, it's easier said than done to be okay with people following you, taking your picture, but this is your life. And a lot of the things that he blamed the paparazzi for, such as in his life, so taking pictures of the Nazi uniform, the different scandals he's been in, every single one of them he details in this book. He did these things. No one coerced him. He did always seem to want to blame the fact that he was stinking drunk and people took pictures of them and are acting crazy and wild. And when he got taken a picture of himself being naked in Vegas, that, there was too much alcohol there, and I was just being offered so much alcohol. And so, he's always kind of deflecting. It's not really his fault. It's just the fact that it happened. And how dare somebody take a picture? What he doesn't realize is that a picture of him will give somebody probably thousands of dollars. I mean, there's tons of people around, so they snap a picture on their cell phone, they sell it, and guess what? They can pay rent, and they can eat, and they can, buy a better car or something. But he didn't understand that, or he didn't make that connection that these people, when he talked about certain incidents where his picture got out, he kind of blamed the person taking the picture. I'm like, well, these people are not like you. They're trying to feed their family, or maybe just feed themselves, or whatever. They're not royalty. They don't have money coming in. So, yeah, maybe it's wrong to take someone's picture and sell it, but it is what it is. It's up to you not to do the things that they would need to take a picture for, and that it would create yet another scandal in the press. So he never saw it that way. It was always somebody else's fault. Number 9, Harry was fired from the monarchy. He did not leave. He was flabbergasted when he realized that he was out, that he was not given a real choice in the end. His family, who were also his employers, were throwing him out. Harry was sick of being a royal. He was sick of being told what to do. And he was sick of the rules. He was just sick of everything. And he didn't want to do it anymore. And he kind of came to a head, and especially with everything that was going on with Meghan and her, emotional reaction to the racist backlash, and just in general, his increasing animosity and, fights with his brother. He went to his grandmother and just said, "Hey, Elizabeth, Queen of England." And he said, "I just want to step back a little bit. I just want to be part-time. I want to still be a royal and still do everything I can for England, but I just want to do it kind of just whenever as needed," kind of a thing. At first, he said that his grandmother said, "Okay, let's talk about it. Let's discuss it." And then she was advised, because again, she is actually his employer as well as the taxpayers of England. So their staff discussed it along with her, of course, and it came to an agreement that no, that's not going to work. You either are in or you're out. So they finally was able to have a meeting, and they basically terminated him and told him, "No, you have two choices." Basically, you can either stay, do what you're supposed to do, or you can leave. That's it. But at that meeting, they were ready for him to leave, because as soon as he was like, "No, I want to talk about this more, I want to do this," they were like, "No, sign this, you're out." So basically they terminated him. There really was no choice, because they knew he wasn't going to change. He was really adamant about leaving or going part-time, kind of moving to Canada, and they were like, "No, you're either in or you're out. Sorry." Prince Harry's problem is that he confused his family with the business of the monarchy. He says that he loves his family and the monarchy, and he always will. And he hopes that they will look back one day and realize that they should have been there for him. They should have loved him more as his family. But this book proves, because of the salacious things that he says about them, that he will never be able to go back. He is truly the outsider now. Number 10, Harry wanted it all. It's really hard to feel sorry for him, but it feels like he really wants people to feel sorry for him. He is very raw in his telling in this story of himself and his life and his feelings and emotions, which I appreciate. He wanted to leave as a royal, but still have all of the benefits. He wanted the security team, he wanted the money, he wanted the privilege, he wanted everything. But he just wanted to do it whenever he wanted to. That is not how it happens. You can't have it both ways. He lost the security, and it would have been $6 million a year to have it. Now, how Tyler Perry comes into play is that once they left, they had no security, and it was getting around that they're just kind of out here. Tyler Perry took upon himself to offer his home to Meghan and Harry to get themselves together. Very big home, very big lavish home and property. He also paid for their security as well. And he said the reason why he did this is because his mother, Tyler's mother, was a huge fan of Diana. She loved her, so much so that she even had a picture of Diana up in the home. So Tyler wanted to honor his mother's love for Diana, and that's why he allowed them to move into his home. Harry compared his life to the Truman Show. Probably a pretty good comparison, yes. He felt abandoned by his family, and now he had to do what most of us do, which is stay awake at night trying to think of how we're going to pay for our shelter, our food, and make a life for our family. But unlike you and me, Harry inherited money, lots of it, from his mother, from Diana, from her estate. So it's not like they're destitute, okay? But they no longer have all of other perks and everything that comes with being a working royal. And all of this really had nothing to do with Meghan. She was his ultimate rebellion, quite frankly, even if he doesn't really realize it. He tries to make himself and Meghan out to be angels. Hell, practically saints. But that really is not the case. He hates the press, but now he does, of course, press interviews such as Oprah and, of course, the book tours. All of this is about revenge. Revenge on his family for not loving him enough, or not doing what he felt that they should do for him, not catering to him, coddling him, I don't know. But from the book, from reading it and reading his words, that's what this is all about. This is the ultimate rebellion from everything. Harry in the book says that Windsor Castle was a tomb, and him and his family were a dance of death. I mean, this is how dark and bleak he feels consciously and unconsciously about his life. And this is what Harry says, one of the quotes in the book. He says, "When is someone in this family going to break free and live?" Well, it looks like this is what has happened, and he has sealed the basic coffin on that. It's very sad to see, anyone who breaks from their family, who breaks from a whole life. I truly do hope that Harry and Meghan find peace and clarity with their own family that they have now, with their children and their life in America. And I truly do wish them well. Oh, to let you know, Prince Harry says that he will be donating much of the book's profits to his different charities. So maybe that'll make you feel better. So have you read Spare? Do you plan to? What do you think about Harry's whole debacle, his life, and all of that, and everything that's going on that you see everywhere all the time? Do you feel he should have written this memoir, basically throwing his whole family under the bus and telling very personal things that we wouldn't have known and probably don't really need to know? Actually, I don't think this book really does him any favors. I didn't walk away from this, and I really am one of those people who follow the royals. After reading this book, I didn't feel sorry for him or better for him. Actually, it kind of infuriated me in some places, and I found myself rolling my eyes and going, "Are you freaking serious? What are you complaining about? If you want to leave, leave." But this whole campaign against his family, that doesn't sit well with me, doesn't sit well with a lot of people. But that's up to him. That's his choice. That's what he did. This is what he is doing. Yeah, so those are my thoughts. Those are my 10 things that I learned from this, or definitely an inside look at his life and the life of the royals, but probably more so than what you will see on, TV from The Crown and from the mini Netflix specials, and of course from many interviews and the mini movies. So this is why I kind of put this as a reversal of book to movie. This is more of all these movies to this book. I applaud him for getting it out. I'm sure it was very therapeutic for him. I'm hoping it was, like I said, it was very raw. It was very open. He didn't hold anything back, as we clearly saw with the whole penis debacle. I felt that he was being very, very honest. So if you want to hear honesty, I really definitely read this book, and you'll hear his honesty, his truth. Please leave your comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe and share with other people. It really helps the site out, channel, whatever, site, me. Yeah, leave your comments. I would like to hear what you think about all of this. But there it is. Spare. Wow. Wow. All right, until next time. Whew, peace. 2 fingers, man.